Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Leven Podcast. I'm your host Leven, and I just want to start off by saying thank you guys for the incredible support and feedback I've been receiving on the first episode. I want to say thanks again to Phoenix for joining me on episode 1. If you haven't already seen that, go and check it out on my channel. I've been hearing everybody's feedback. I am working on a bunch of things to improve the podcast. If you guys know anybody who does graphics or art, please get them in contact with me, tweet them at me, tell them to get in contact with me. Want to improve the viewing experience for you guys, get some better art. I know a lot of people don't like the plain words on the screen. As well as that, I'm working on potentially getting a camera so that we can have it a bit more interactive, so you can see me and you can see the guests. Also working on putting the podcast on Spotify because I know some of you guys said you'd prefer to listen to it on Spotify. Today's episode is a bit longer, so be sure to put it on in the background while you're doing creative or pub stomping or playing an arena or whatever it is you choose to do. It's a bit longer than the first one, a lot longer actually. It's about an hour long, and we spoke to Sak0ner about a lot of things. I really enjoyed this episode, and I know for a fact if you enjoyed the first episode, you'll definitely enjoy this one. We spoke about his time in Secret, how that started up, his relationships with a lot of people in the community, all the LAN events he's been to, some stories from there, his World Cup performance, and just a bunch of things, man. Sak0ner's a really cool guy. Make sure to follow him on Twitter, at Sak0ner. And thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the end. Let's get started, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, dude. What about you?
I'm great, man. Did my first episode Sunday, uploaded it to YouTube Monday, and it's received a good amount of support, and I think people are excited to see me talk to more people, and obviously today I'm talking to you, so should be interesting. Um,
Yeah, I like the first podcast you did. It was really good.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Um, I was gonna just ask you what you have going on in life right now. What are you doing? Let the people know.
Uh, right now, um, currently I've been struggling a little bit with like mental health and stuff, so I'm trying to sort that out. I've been just doing like small things like cleaning more, taking walks, making proper breakfast, and having a normal sleeping pattern.
Yeah,
Because I've experienced over the past like 2 years or so where I've been more locked in my room playing video games all day than actually doing other stuff has taken a toll, right?
yeah,
It affects your mental health, and it's not really easy to like spot these things before you start doing normal stuff again, like going to the store, making feel like all these things seem like such normal things to do, but when you lock yourself in for a certain amount of time, these things aren't normal anymore, and you have to get used to it again, kind of.
yeah, 100%, man.
Uh, yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's like
Like,
mental health issue is a big problem, especially in the esport industry, especially Fortnite, because of the inconsistency in the pro scene.
yeah, there's a lack of schedule. I feel like there's the way the schedule's set up now. Like a lot of these kids spend out like just their weekends just inside of their rooms, just on the computers. A lot of people I feel like have sacrificed a lot of their lives to be able to commit to this game. And I think once you really get the chance to step out and do more outside of Fortnite, I think when you get like healthy, like you said, getting more fresh air, eating better, spending time with friends, like I think it's just better for your mental health, and it can also help you improve gaming wise as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I can feel it when it comes to gaming as well, because I don't really have that like kind of pull to games where I have to play games, or the first thing I do when I wake up is thinking about playing games and all that.
Yeah,
And I have a more healthy view on it now, where I am more focused, I'm more in control of like how I feel. So when I sit down to play games, my mind isn't foggy. I haven't just woken up. I've slept well. I've eaten. I've walked. Like all these things make it so your head works a lot better and improves definitely your gameplay as well.
yeah. Um, for me, one of the main reasons why I really wanted to have you on here, and one of the things I appreciate about you the most is back a while ago when I was having problems within the scene, like obviously I am black. I'm not, I'm black. I think a lot of people can probably tell from my deep voice. People guess it a lot of the time. And no, I don't have a voice changer if you're wondering. I had problems feeling comfortable because I feel like a lot of the time, I don't think it's necessarily a malicious thing, but people make certain jokes or certain stereotypes and they don't understand the impact it can have on someone, right? So I was having problems with that, and I spoke up about it on Twitter, and you was one of the first people to kind of reach out to me and offer me help and your support and your advice. So always appreciate you for that. And I feel like people don't necessarily see that side of you, and I think it's
Oh,
important to understand that.
yeah, for sure. But I think the most important thing about reaching out to people struggling or people that doesn't have it great at the time is, I don't do it because I feel like I have to, or I feel like, oh, if I talk to this person and help him out, like he's gonna like help me out later or something like that. It's
Yeah,
more like I've been there. I've felt how it feels to be down and feel lonely and stuff like that.
yeah,
And it's just like the feeling of knowing how it feels is more than enough for me to just reach out and see if there's anything I can do, right?
yeah,
So I've done this with multiple people, people that I don't even know, but I see on Twitter or I see having a tough time or it's contacting me and stuff like that. For me, it's just like it feels good for me to be able to have an impact maybe or help people out when I can because I have the opportunity to.
yeah,
So for me, that's just like it's a good thing for me and it's also a good thing for other people, I think, to do more.
yeah. That's a good thing. What are your plans for streaming? I saw you talking on Twitter about potentially streaming other games, etc. So what is that like?
Oh yeah. For streaming, I haven't been streaming consistently ever. I've never streamed consistent, and I've almost always streamed Fortnite.
Yeah,
But for me, it's important when I stream that I'm in a good mood and I'm having fun, or else the stream quality and the people watching don't want to watch anymore. Because if I sit there and I feel shit and I'm playing a game, I will play shit because I'm feeling shit, and then goes downwards, right? It just
yeah,
puts me in like a spiral downwards. So what I was thinking is I might want to start streaming more, maybe like daily as a kind of way to cope with other things in life.
yeah,
Because when you stream, you have a community, you have people in your chat, like you have people to talk to. It's like it's such a good thing when you're in a good mood. But if you're in a bad mood, you don't want to stream.
yeah,
So for me, streaming Fortnite is a no go right now because I feel like um, my skill level isn't up to par with the most viewed people.
yeah,
So and my playstyle might not be as flashy or stuff like that. So I feel like if I stream Fortnite, I'm just gonna feel shit because I would make a bad play and then I would feel bad and then I would think about everyone watching it and then stuff like that. So if I could stream games that I have fun with, I would have fun with streaming it and I wouldn't feel bad. So that's what I was thinking about. But I also have to put time aside for Fortnite as well because we all want to qualify. It's like that's the
yeah.
main goal.
That's interesting that you say that. I was gonna ask you about your World Cup performance so far. How how you view it, and going into World Cup, what were like some of the goals you set for yourself?
Going into World Cup, it was kind of like it was very I was very like unaware, or I think most people were kind of confused and no one really understood like how it would work or what it would take.
Yeah,
Um, and I think one of the main things I realized over the past like World Cup qualifier weeks is the way we used to play or the way we played back in the days and how we used to scrim and customs and stuff. Um, it's not really realistic practice towards World Cup in the qualifiers, but more practice for World Cup itself.
yeah,
So for me, I feel like I'm more of a maybe a slower, more methodical player than a fast, flashy, aggressive player, right?
yeah. The biggest thing
So
people have
yeah,
kind of had that they've said to me is just the fact that a lot of the practice that people kind of tried to achieve in the weeks and months leading up to World Cup ended up being not necessarily the similar or the same as the actual qualification for World Cup. So it's kind of like people having to adjust and people struggling to kind of match that fast-paced, pub stompy kind of play style. But I think for the most part, a lot of the better players are always gonna, do well and always gonna get through to the finals of the week, obviously being the Sunday day. Um, as a whole, though, were there any big problems that you encountered so far during the qualification weeks, and kind of how did you have to tackle them?
So one of my main problems from beginning of the World Cup is finding a consistent duo partner.
Yeah,
Um, it's that's probably one of the main problems, not having the amount of practice and team synergy needed, right?
yeah, because even if you look at it
Uh,
here, I have it
yeah.
up
So
in
for
week.
me, that's probably the main issue, and also having to adapt to a different playstyle as well as adapting to all the changes in the game currently.
Yeah,
Um, Makes it a lot to adapt to in a short amount of time. And of course, that's a part of the game. Like that's a part of being a pro. You have to adapt. You have to learn new ways to handle stuff.
yeah,
And
but
it's
even
I think it's going decent, but it's like you need way more pure mechanics. I feel like now than you needed before. So that's like my main focus nowadays has been just free building and creative, uh, and doing like edit courses and stuff.
I understand what you're saying with that, but even if you look at the list here, like week 2 you played with Goofy, week 4 you played with Chris. I'm not sure who you played with week 6. Who did you play with? Um,
I think I played with Green Sock week 6.
yeah, like
Or wait, did
it's
I Green Sock? Yeah, it's confusing. Like I've had a different duo every week, right?
yeah, and it's like you always need. It's always important to have some form of consistency there. So obviously, when you're playing with so many different people, it can be difficult. Within duos and squad, not squad, sorry, within duos and solos, which one would you say is like your stronger game mode?
Duos for sure.
Yeah,
Because I feel like in duos it's way more stuff to play around. Like it's way more ways you can play a situation because you have a teammate and there's two enemies.
yeah,
So you have way more space, I feel like, to make plays and to do smarter decisions than when you're in solos, because then you're one on one and it's fast paced. It's you don't really have like time to think. You just have to do it, right?
yeah,
And in duos, I feel like I can take my time and I can play the situation accordingly. In solos, I'm struggling more to deal with people W keying in certain situations where I wouldn't expect it, or in situations where you shouldn't W key, like in Storm, and stuff like that. I've been struggling a lot with mid game.
is there anyone that you like try and model your game after and try and
Uh, like for role models in Fortnite,
yeah,
it's not really easy, I feel like, to look at certain players or learn from looking at them, but you can learn from multiple players and take certain things from different players, right?
mm,
For example, watching Benji, you will learn a lot of things, and then you can watch Stumpy and learn other things that might be better for that certain situation or
yeah,
things like that. So for me, it's been like um, watching the people that is currently doing the best.
yeah,
So I watched Boyer. I watched like Clicks a lot recently. I've been copying Clicks a lot recently, actually, with the solos.
yeah,
I've been dropping Tilted, doing his loot rotation and stuff.
yeah,
Uh, and like back in the day, it used to be like watching Mongrel. It used to be watching Mr. Savage. Still, it's like it's all the players that's been doing consistently good is who you want to watch.
yeah. And I think it's
Um,
always better for you as well because with a lot of these people you have actual relationships with them, so you can always you have the advantage of being able to like talk to these people and be like, hey, what do you do in XYZ? A lot easier than
Oh yeah,
a
for
regular
sure.
person.
But the main issue with that is, even though you know all these people, it's like they get asked these questions every day. Like so many
Yeah,
people DM them asking, "Do you got any tips? Do you got any this? Got any that?" So
yeah,
it's like I don't really feel like asking them too much about like what they do. It's more like occasionally asking if I'm sitting in a call with, for example, Benji. I would ask him, are you fine with like just watching one or two VODs with me real quick and just like tell me if you spot anything I didn't spot?
yeah,
And stuff like that is really helpful. Like just getting another person's view
yeah.
on things, because I see different things and then there's something they see that I didn't see, and then you add these things together and then you get bulletproof.
And I guess it's always difficult because as a competitor, these are the people you're competing to against, and you all have the same goal. So it can be you don't want to always give everything away, but obviously wherever you can help, I think it's good to help. I'm gonna take you to ESL Katowice Royale. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously for that event, that LAN event, you played with Skram, and I think a lot of people probably don't understand kind of how that came to be because Scram is obviously doing with Mexi without like playing on Loot Boy. So could you give any more insight into that and how that came
Oh
about?
yeah, oh yeah. I should probably have explained that like back when it happened.
Yeah,
But so what happened is I was currently without a duo, right?
yeah,
And I received an invitation to ESL Katowice based on like full skirmish or something.
yeah,
So it's like I got invited to this huge international duo tournament, and I currently didn't have a duo. So what I did was I asked around for players that's underrated
yeah,
and unknown, but is really good, right?
yeah,
So Skram's name got mentioned a few times, and he's also Danish. So I talked to Boyer about this. I used to talk a lot with Boyer back then, and Boyer basically vouched Skram for me. So I talked to Skram, and he was currently doing with Mexi at the time, right?
yeah,
So I had to make a agreement, or I had to like talk to Mexi and just make sure that we weren't on a bad foot or something. But Mexi said it was okay, so I borrowed Scram basically for Katowice,
okay, that's nice.
which was really good. He proved himself very well in the solos in Katowice, and
Yeah,
we got on.
you guys had a nice little chemistry going. You guys, what was it called again? Scram Bamba and
Oh
Sak0ner.
yeah.
That was pretty sick. Personally, for me, I enjoyed seeing that. That was
Oh yeah,
cool.
we were having a lot of fun with it because we knew we wouldn't have anywhere close to like practice that other people had, and for me it was important that not only to go there and enjoy myself, but it's also important for me that when I bring such a young player, or not that young, Scram isn't that young, but when I bring a player with me with like less experience, I need to make sure that he gets treated well and he enjoys his stay as well, right?
Yeah,
So
100%.
for me, building up to the event was just like making sure that he was prepared for like playing on stage and like feeling the stress and stuff. Like for me, it was just like making sure he has a good time there as well and has the ability to show what he got, because he's a really good solid player.
Yeah. When you actually were at the event itself, what was it like? Because obviously you've met a lot of people um, within the scene at other lands, which we'll get onto later. But I think that was kind of the first EU event with the majority of the known EU pros there. So what was it like, kind of meeting all those guys, and who did you kind of chill with the most?
Oh yeah, for sure. ESL was amazing. Like every EU player and NA player I talked to is just awesome. Like I remember especially this one thing. We were going to this green screen room thing to film like for if you won a game, they would show an animation, right,
Yeah,
where you
yeah,
crossed your arms and stuff.
yeah,
So it was me, Scram, Stompy Chinkin, and 72 hours and Chap.
yeah,
So we got like they got us from the room and then brought us onto like a bus, and we were driving these small tiny roads out of nowhere. Like we're just like in Poland, don't know the place, driving far away from everything.
That's crazy.
So yeah, we had like a super funny ride with the bus and got to like talk to everyone and bond in the van. That was fun. Also back at the hotel, we had a hotel where most of the EU people stayed.
Yeah.
So Smeef, Skram, Aries, like dude, I'm gonna forget names, so I really don't want to put names out,
Yeah,
but like
sure.
dude, just everyone, dude, like
Yeah.
literally like everyone from the EU scene is awesome and they're super great people to hang out with. So we had a lot of fun.
One interesting thing I wanted to kind of get at with you, because you can actually answer this question better than most players in the scene. What what was the difference between that and like the epic held events, and like which one did you prefer?
So okay, the Epic held event I've been at a LAN is TwitchCon.
Yeah.
Um, TwitchCon was really good, but it was also kind of scuffed. It was extremely hot back at the back at the backstage where we sat and played.
What state
And
was it in again?
huh?
What state was it in?
California.
Oh, okay. Makes
So
sense.
it was extremely hot back where we played because there was so many PCs. So like if I was sitting in shorts, if my right leg touched the PC cabinet,
Oh
it would
no.
literally like burn. So you get like a shot. You have to like move your leg fast away. Like it was so hot, right?
Yeah.
So just I was sitting there sweating. I drank like 4 liters of water or something during the tournament days. It was insane. So out of comfort, the ESL event was way better. Like the stage had so much space.
Yeah.
We had player staff there, so if we needed anything, if you needed water, if you needed food, well, we could just like ask for it, or we could go in the back room where it was a buffet all day, or stuff like that. And we had all access cards, so we could go wherever we wanted and just hang out. Right? It was just like an awesome experience, and it was
Yeah,
awesome people around it.
there was just like better hospitality essentially.
Yeah, it felt more like that, but that's because ESL has been doing tournaments for ages. They have really good like player teams, like for handling all the players and logistics and all that stuff.
So you'd like to see them host more events.
For sure, ESL is awesome.
You've obviously been to a Dreamhack event. Would you like to see them host events as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I feel like if they actually did like a big tournament,
Yeah.
it'd be really good and people would go. But currently they're only doing like the small ones, like the more local prices, kinda, where only people from the area would go. But I remember the first Dreamhack with Fortnite that we all went to, or a lot of people went to. I didn't go there to play. I just went there to be there. But I remember being there with. Oh no, wait! I went to play once, and then I went once without playing. Yeah. So the first time I went there was the first time I met like most of the EU people in the scene, like all the Swedish guys, some of the Danish guys. Like it was awesome. I remember meeting like everyone, like Kling, Noisy, Sipan, like all these Swedish guys. It was awesome. I made good friends with them since, and when we go Dreamhack Sweden, it's like awesome. So I was there with Mongrel as well, and like the Domentos and Osmo ones.
Yeah.
That was also really cool. But it's more like Dreamhack is more like a event where you just like walk around and look at stuff. You're not really there to play.
Just kind of networking and socializing. Makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
With ESL though, your LAN experience in the past, do you feel like that helped you, or was that not like as big as a factor?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I used to play a lot of CS. I've been to probably like 10 LANs or something for CS, maybe 8 LANs or something where I've actually like played properly.
Yeah.
And I've played on main stage a couple times. I played on the stage at DreamHack once for CS.
That's crazy.
So just experience from sitting on stage and playing it helps a lot with like stress and stuff. Like I don't really feel stressed when I play video games anymore.
Yeah, because I feel like there were some players at ESL who probably people expected to do better, and obviously there's definitely more that went into why they maybe didn't perform the way people expected. But I feel like the nerves were probably quite a big thing to do with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like especially like even that I feel sometimes like for example, after clutching or
Yeah.
after winning a game where you're like it's intense and
Yeah.
you win the game, you celebrate and then you start feeling like your hand is shaking and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like the adrenaline pumps
Yeah.
down, it starts calming down, and you
Yeah.
just like sit there and you're shaking and you can feel like, oh fuck.
Yeah. That's good. Um,
Yeah, but it's like normally after though.
I was gonna ask you about kind of and after Kirby's happened, a little kind of Twitter moment that you had with Mongra, that I think people probably want to know more about. He was responding to a tweet by Atlantis to do with like something that you're thankful for, or say tag someone you're thankful for, and he put at Sak0ner for literally being the reason I got into Secret Heart, and you obviously responded to that saying you have matured into a perfect example of what happens when extreme talent meets hard work. I couldn't be happier for you for the outcome. Miss the old days a year ago in EXP, buddy. You'll always be that little kid to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Way back, like this is before Bush Paranoia, this is before custom games, before like this was just when tournaments were literally pub stomping and stream and game sniping, right?
Yeah.
So back then, I used to play with a guy called Reckless Chip and Mongrel, Domentos, and then Mongrel and a guy called VNHL used to play a lot of duos together, and I
Yeah.
used to play with the Domentos and Reckless Chip.
Yeah.
And then I found out that VNHL is Norwegian.
Yeah.
So Mongrel's duo partner was Norwegian, so I got to know him, and then we just decided like, okay, so me, Domentos, you, and VNHL should just make a squad together.
Yeah.
And we did, and it went really well. Obviously, because I wouldn't be here if it didn't.
Yeah.
But so we started playing. Bush Paranoia came out. We started stomping that. We got under an org called Air, but we never signed a contract. So it's just like just to play under an org name.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure our name was BitConnect before Air.
BitConnect, solid name.
Yeah. So we played under Air, and that's where our name got built up, I guess.
Yeah.
And I started seeing the potential with the team, and especially with having players like Mongrel on the team, which had like extreme talent at the time.
Yeah.
He was way ahead of everyone. So I saw this opportunity, and I wrote down like not like what's it called? I forgot the English word, but basically I wrote the whole text explaining the team and the players and all their positives and negatives and how we work together and stuff like that. And I sent this to different big organizations, right?
Yeah.
What I did was I went on the esport earnings list for orgs.
Yeah.
I went from the top and they rolled down, right?
Yeah.
And I contacted all these orgs. And I remember Secret being like the 11th or something most earned organization or something. I was just doing this, right? I never believed that they would even answer to any of this, right?
Yeah.
But then I started getting a response back from these different big organizations that you can only dream about being on, right?
Yeah.
And the one organization I talked to the most was Secret.
That's
and
crazy.
we shared the same visions. We wanted the best for the players. All that stuff is a very good org led by really good people. So we decided like, yeah, we're gonna go with this organization, right? So we start up, and from there it just like skyrocketed with the Mongrel being on BBC.
Yeah, that's where
or CNBC, whatever.
Start to blow up.
Yeah, and then Mongrel's career started to blow up. Our team was doing super well in all tournaments. And then after a while, VNHL didn't play so much, and he had some problems with sleep and stuff like that. So we ended up changing. So I was playing with VNHL because we were both Norwegian, and then Mongrel and Domentos started doing together, which became a pretty iconic duo after a while.
Yeah, they're very iconic.
So after a while, we decided to let go of VNHL because it didn't show up for practice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I had to find a new duo partner.
Was that a team decision, or was it kind of like because he was your duo, you were just
No,
kind
it
of
was a team decision.
okay? How did he respond to that, or was he understanding of everything?
He was understanding of it. I'm pretty sure, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I haven't talked too much to him after, but I've talked a little bit to him. I played with him not too long ago.
Oh, so he still plays Fortnite?
Yeah, some, but
Okay.
not competitively, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
So after that, I had to find a new duo partner, and I was looking through these names, right?
Yeah.
And then there was this team called Barrage,
Ah, yeah.
which was doing really good at the time.
Yeah.
And then I got to know that some of the players on there were Norwegian.
Yeah.
And Osmo was the one doing the most, or at least made the most out of his name from that team.
Yeah. At the time, Osmo was
Yeah.
insane. Like people.
Yeah, he was popping off.
Yeah.
So I messaged Osmo and said, "Yo, I'm not sure if you want to, but if you want to, we could try to run some duos or something like that."
Yeah.
And that's the start of that duo. We had a really good run actually, as far as I remember, winning some stuff and doing really well. And then after a while, we kind of like split apart because the game was changing in a more aggressive manner.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was like, it got to a point where from the public eye, right? Obviously, we're gonna find out now what was happening more internally, but from the public eye, it looked or seemed as if you were kind of getting pushed out of that team to where like the other three players on that team are kind of synonymous for being very aggressive players, you know what I mean? Like, and like you said yourself, you're more of uh, a methodical player, you like I'm not saying those guys aren't based on strategy, but you like to focus a lot on strategy and being methodical. And obviously, those guys, like from the outside view, it looked like those guys were very, very aggressive players, and that your playstyles didn't match their playstyle. So obviously, did you ever feel like you were getting pushed out of the team naturally, or like what was like the
Oh
relationship?
yeah, for sure. I felt like I was kind of splitting apart from the other guys when it comes to playstyle
Yeah,
and mechanics.
yeah,
So I felt like I had a period where I felt kind of shit because I felt like they didn't want me on the team, or I was costing, or I was underperforming.
yeah,
So I reached out to everyone on the team and I said, if you want to try out with someone else or stuff like that, just like let me know. As long as you're like
honest about
telling
it.
me,
Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
it's good.
Honesty.
Um,
Yeah.
but they kind of didn't, and it kind of got to a point where I was kind of getting pushed away. They were playing with Milan for a tournament
Yeah, I was
without
gonna
me even
say,
knowing before it started,
because
and shit like that. So
if you
that
look at
didn't feel well. Yeah.
if we look at so do you remember there was a squad back-to-back weekend where there was a BP squad open and a POG squad open, and on the BP POG open that was on a Saturday. You played with the team, right? It was you, Osmo, Domentos, Mongrao, and then the Sunday you played with they didn't play with you. You were playing with like Nyrox and two other people I can't remember, and then they played with Milan for the POG tournament. Do you remember like that weekend and how that kind of happened? Because it seemed kind of weird, like you were just playing with them yesterday, and then
Oh yeah.
next day.
Yeah, that was what I was talking about. Like they decided to play with Milan to test out playing with Milan instead,
Yeah,
which is completely fine. But at the time, I didn't get the information right before,
yeah,
so it's like kind of like a shit moment for me. But it's like I don't really blame any of. They're young, like they're not probably used to dealing with situations like that out in real life and stuff
yeah.
just like
And it is
yeah.
that
So
is always an awkward thing, like in any aspect of any team sport in real life or in gaming, like when you've realized that you want to kind of move on with a teammate and find someone new, like handling that,
yeah,
it takes a lot of maturity.
it's yeah, it's a
Yeah,
hard situation to handle,
yeah,
especially since I was kind of a leading role in the team, right?
Yeah.
I was the team captain. I was most like in-game leading for a long time, and like I feel like it was probably some sort of like respect they had towards me that they didn't want to like hurt me in any way or something.
Yeah.
But it ended up being like the opposite, where it kind of made it worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember that I played with Nyrox, Chocoladen, and I can't remember the last player, probably Nico or something. And then
I have it up here. You played with Narok, Chocolade, and then yeah, Nika.
yeah, didn't we place pretty high?
Yeah, on that weekend, when the Pog Squad opened, you guys played fifth under the name Thunder Boys.
Yeah.
So that
Didn't
was good.
did Secret place first there? Yeah.
Um, you, I can check. Well, I'm pretty sure they placed quite well as well in that.
Yeah, because I remember there was this other time where I stepped in for a wind strike.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was also like the same situation, but I remember we beat them, and I remember feeling so good.
Yeah, in that tournament, Secret. That's always a good feeling, though. It is. In that tournament, Secret came second. Atlantis came first.
Oh yeah, the Atlantis period.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for sure, like, so it ended up being I felt that I was getting pushed out of the team. They weren't really telling me anything, so I talked to the owner or the CEO, and I said, hey, I don't really feel like I fit into the team anymore. I feel like it might be a good like idea to find a new duo for Osmo, or like just move on. So
Yeah.
what we did was we shortened the contract to end a little bit earlier than it was supposed to.
Okay.
So I made a decision to leave, basically. So I left before I would probably get kicked.
Yeah. When was
So
the moment when you realized that like you were gonna leave? And did you tell
well,
anyone
like
about it?
it was probably when me and Osmo like kind of split,
Yeah.
because then either I would have to find a new duo and sign under secret, and it was 6 players, which probably wouldn't happen, or I could let Osmo move on with his career and do good because he's a really good player, right?
Yeah.
And as I said, I just want the best for people. I want the best for the people I play with, regardless of what they do to me, right?
I think
So
it's a bit inconvenient as well, the timing, because obviously even back then, because like people were focused on squads, obviously you not being with Osmo anymore kind of meant that like it was inevitable that you'd be out the team. Whereas now, because it's kind of focused on duos, teams are more okay with having like 6 players. Like we see with E11, teams like Atlantis, like teams are more okay with having more players now. But back then,
oh
obviously,
yeah,
it meant that.
but there's no bad blood whatsoever
Yeah,
between any of
100%.
the
Yeah,
players. Not with the owners. I left on really good terms.
yeah,
I'm super happy and thankful for the experience I got, and um, so that ending was kind of ending of an era for me,
yeah.
where uh, I started like doing my own stuff instead. And then I played in Fall Skirmish.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Full skirmish, you went to the LAN event, obviously at TwitchCon, and you ended up playing with Lamar. And Lamar's NA, right? So like,
Oh yeah.
how did
So
that happen?
it's like this is a repetitive story about my career. Okay, so I get invited to this big tournament, right?
Yeah.
And it's duos, and again, I don't have a duo because Osmo has Milan now, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, who the fuck do I go with, right?
Yeah.
I need to find someone. So I did the exact same thing I did before, where I would ask around, ask for vouchers, ask for players that's doing good or is currently popping off, right?
Yeah.
And I talked to Kenneth, I talked to Parallax at the time,
Yeah.
and some Sate, like NA boys, and they all said Lamar, right?
Yeah.
So Lamar was this playground warrior or playground player that was like really good, right?
Yeah.
So I messaged him and I was like, "Yo, would you be down to go to Full Skirmish finals?" Like, obviously he said yes. So
Yeah. I think anybody would say yes in that situation. So
so it was interesting. We played both NA scrims and EU scrims at the time, so yeah, it was kind of hard practicing when one is on like 150 ping and
Yeah,
the
I was
other one
gonna,
is
yeah,
low
like
ping.
that's like practicing leading up to that tournament. Was it like, was it kind of, were there ever times where it kind of like was a bit toxic because you kind of felt like trigger, like damn, like it's so hard to practice when one of us is lagging so much.
No, I feel like again, like just as with Skram, the same with Lamar. Like we were having fun.
Yeah,
Like we were enjoying it. Like we were enjoying the ride. We were having fun as long as we practiced and we were having fun with it. So that wasn't really an issue. It's never really been an issue for me. Like to before like recently, where the game is just taking a whole turn. Like having fun with the game has never been a problem. So I've been focusing on that more than for like if you have a mindset where okay we should practice now for these hours, do this and this, but it's also important during those hours to have fun or else you're gonna get burnt out, right?
yeah,
So it's just like we were just having fun with it. We met at TwitchCon. I was hanging out with Ken, Parallax, and Lamar, Tick, like all these NA boys, and I got to know all of them. So
yeah.
that it's just all these like amazing experiences and travels and people you meet, like because of the opportunities you get offered to you, right?
I was gonna
So
say because even around the time of that LAN, there was a big kind of thing within the community of, oh, NA versus EU, who's better? NA, da 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 da, we're better. EU, da 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 da, we're better. And I remember in the stream, like obviously you were there, so I don't know how much attention you paid to the stream, but the whole live stream, right, the chat was literally just NA, da 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 da, EU, da, and it was literally just back and forth, like, and it was like it was a big deal at the time, and to an extent, I don't think it's as much of a deal now, but it does still kind of exist, like the whole EU why so quiet, NA why so quiet, like all this kind of stuff.
yeah.
Like
Uh,
at the event, could you kind of feel that? Was that there in the atmosphere? Did it kind of feel like EU versus NA, or was everyone kind of together?
oh, I feel like the players
Yeah,
weren't like that. We were all players. We're all there for the same reason. We
yeah,
play the same game. It's nothing really different, right? So, but the crowd and the people around the event were like only focused on the NA players, right?
yeah,
Because it's in NA.
yeah,
It's like
of course, of course.
there's not gonna be a lot of EU fans there, right?
Yeah, they're not familiar with the
So
EU guys, so it makes
yeah,
sense.
but they were familiar with the secret jersey at least. So
Yeah, fair enough, of
I
course.
mean,
That's an advantage.
yeah, for sure. So I remember like the last day after qualifying, I remember I stood outside with Magin, Mitro that didn't qualify, or wait, did they qualify for finals? Or they did shit
Um,
in the finals?
I'm
I
just
can't
gonna.
remember. Either one doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But they were super bummed. I was standing outside with them, like just chatting with them, trying to and then like people like Jo comes by and says hello. Like I
yeah,
talked to K-Sid, like all these people, big names, right?
yeah,
And it's such like a good community because it's like everyone knows who like almost everyone is, and you can just talk to people. It's awesome.
yeah. So that was a good event for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Meeting everyone.
Not performance wise.
Yeah.
I did good in full skirmish leading up to the finals. I got second in two solos. Third.
In
Yeah,
solos,
third in
you got
solos, I think.
third in week two,
Yeah.
which was really good. I
And then I
remember
got
watching that.
ninth in duels with Domentos, I think.
Yeah,
We weren't even duo partners. Like,
yeah, that was an interesting thing because I think at the time, right, I remember like I remember there must have been some sort of squad customs going on, and you guys needed a fill, right? It was you, Domentos, and Sif, and I think this is the first time I ever spoke to you guys, and like you needed a fill, so you invited me to come and play, and I remember like you and Domentos, like obviously like it was all banter, but it was like as a duo, I would have never expected you two to play with each other as a duo. So then seeing you guys play and then do so well was like really impressive, and it's just
oh yeah. So the first time we played together
yeah.
was in summer skirmish duels, I think,
Yeah, it
where we
was
got like close to last place or
yeah,
something.
Summer Skirmish week 5. You
Yeah.
guys came 39th.
Went horrible because I wanted to play passive and he wanted to do certain stuff, and we were not on the same page at all, dude.
Yeah.
Like he would do something and I wouldn't follow because I felt like it was the wrong. Like,
Yeah,
dude,
like
it
and
was just
even
like.
even just playing that one day with you in squad customs, like I was kind of the same thing. Like we'd be playing squad customs and Domentos would be like, ah, let's push this, and you'd be like, no, 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 and it was like back and forth, and I was like, I would never expect these guys to like be a duo with each other ever.
Oh yeah, for sure. But we kind of agreed upon before playing the full skirmish one, because last time we played it went shit.
Yeah,
So we said we have to choose either one of us to do the calls, or it's gonna be fucked.
yeah,
Like we're just gonna end up doing our own stuff again, and it's not gonna work. So we just decided that okay, we're gonna listen to each other now. So if you say something, I'm gonna do it. If I say something, you're gonna do it, and it
yeah,
worked. And we had a pop off game. The last game I remember, we were not in like the top 10.
yeah,
So we were sitting there like, okay, like we have to pop off this game. Like, like we have to pop off.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I remember we agreed on if we pop off this game and win, we're both gonna buy a Gucci item. So
Oh my
we
god.
agreed on that, and then we
Yeah,
started playing the game, and we started realizing, oh shit, we're in a good position. We have good
yeah,
loot. We
yeah,
started popping off. We both did our own shit, and we both popped off, and we ended up winning the game. So
yeah.
I
That's
mean,
crazy.
the Gucci motivation.
The Gucci motivation clearly worked. You guys ended up winning around €7,500 from that, so
Yeah,
plenty of money to buy some Gucci.
for sure.
I want to ask you about the Rosenfole rankings. Um, in Rosenfole, obviously has his own ranking system, which is like kind of the most. I'm pretty sure it's like the only real like legitimate ranking system we have in the scene right now. And within that, as a player in EU, you are ranked 99th, and within Norway, you are ranked 7th. When it comes to the EU ranking, like just a general solo like EU ranking, do you feel like that's like an accurate representation of yourself? 99th.
So when it comes to the Rosenfole ranking, we used to all be on top. Like all the secret players used to be on top, right? We used to have the
Yeah,
first spot overall
yeah,
global.
yeah, yeah,
So during that time, it was less tournaments and it was less people playing the tournaments.
yeah.
So
It was easier
um,
to maintain that like top
yeah,
spot. Yeah,
it was easier to maintain farming points.
yeah.
Um, and obviously, you had players like Mitro farming and farming and
Yeah,
farming.
and then again, like you guys were at the time, especially with when Seek was dominating, like you like there was no one really like there wasn't much competition. Like you guys were a really good team. So
Oh yeah, for sure. Like back
yeah,
then. So I farmed up a lot of points during that time,
yeah,
and also during like the mid times. But like recently, I haven't been gaining so much points because the only tournaments there's been really is the World Cup qualifier, which I haven't been performing as I was hoping for or as I
yeah,
was expecting.
yeah,
But that's because it's so different from any like stacked game, right?
yeah,
It's not what we have played during the year, or it's not similar to any tournaments before or stuff like that. It's more like I don't know. It's recently I haven't been performing where I want to be, at least.
no. And how like where what do you think are the problems that you have within your game that you're trying to improve?
Other problems in my game currently that I'm trying to improve is just getting completely like thought free, like where I'll do edit plays and stuff like that without thinking about it, right? So it's crucial that you don't stop and think too much, because if you do, you give other people time to react or to be prepared for it.
Yeah,
So recently I've been doing way more like impulsive stuff,
yeah,
I guess, like opening at certain times, like, and it's been paying off a lot recently. It paid off in the last solo. I think I've played the best I've played during all the weeks, previous, like the last weekend,
yeah,
but it didn't go well in the finals. It went really well in the semis, but I just, I guess, got a little bit unlucky in the finals, but also played not where I wanted to be.
yeah. Um, Looking at the Rosenfall rankings, right? Um, for Norway, which is obviously where you're from, you are ranked seventh, and the players above you. I'm just gonna read these out, right? So you have, hello, you here?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you have Mr. Savage at one, Osmo, Nyrox, Patel, Provoked, Blood X, and then you. And no, no exaggeration. That is good company to be in. You know, like
Yeah.
those are all great players. And when you see stuff like that, like when you see like the company that you keep, like how does that make you feel? Like knowing
Of
that
course, it's a feeling of mastering something. It's a feeling of doing good, right?
yeah,
So, um, I've obviously went down on the ranking lists during the previous times, but it's not like I'm not too focused on looking at the leaderboards, who's where, who's doing really good right now.
yeah,
Other than the people doing really good in World Cup, because I watch their VODs and I try to learn from them.
yeah,
I don't really look at the rankings. I don't really care too much about the rankings.
yeah.
But I'm well aware that we have a lot of extremely talented players in Norway, so I'm fine with being in seventh right now, and hopefully we can climb up that ladder.
That's good. Hopefully we can see that. Within EU, right? There's been a lot of things that I feel like you've done behind the scenes that people haven't necessarily seen. So obviously one thing that people won't necessarily know is back around the time of Winter Royale, when Epic first started like introducing pop-up cups and stuff, they would do test pop-up cups, right? They were testing certain things, and they were rewarding players who were participating in these tests, and they were at the time they were only offering it to NA, right? And
Yeah,
obviously a lot of the EU players were kind of frustrated by that because we obviously felt like we deserved to have that same opportunity that some of the NA pros were getting. And I know that you were quite influential in getting it so that Epic were giving EU the chance to, you know, test their pop-up cups system, etc., and win money that way. What was your like involvement in that?
so I remember NA had these test pop-ups with cash prices
Yeah,
um, that they were streaming as well, right?
yeah,
So I I got access to the NA server.
yeah,
I still think I have it. It was like the official like test server for Fortnite.
yeah,
Um, and I realized that we weren't giving this opportunity in EU really. So I was talking to Sundown, and I asked him like, when are we getting this in EU? Is it possible to do this for EU? And then one day he messaged me and was like, "Hey, are you able to get this amount of players to test customs?" So I quickly created the Discord test customs EU. Um, I got the code sent directly from Sundown, and I posted it in the Discord,
yeah.
and everyone got to play. That was basically it. Like I was just basically taking a message from Sundown and then giving it to the people it affected,
Yeah.
I guess.
Those games are good, man, and yeah, I think you helped. Like a lot of people who got the chance to play in those, like start to build up reputations at the time for doing well. Because at the time there wasn't a lot to compete in to show that you were like one of the best or growing player in EU. And I remember seeing a lot of players who obviously we know now doing well in those games and starting to build up reputations for themselves. And I remember playing in those games myself, and like it was always really challenging, and it was good that we had the same opportunity that NA were having at the time.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure. That's just fair.
yeah, is there anything
So
is there anything else that you maybe have done that people aren't necessarily aware of, or is that like the biggest thing really?
I mean, it's mostly like behind the scenes work, I guess. Like I've helped out with most like OG discords
Yeah,
and stuff like that. I've always been like, what's it called? I've always been helping out with being in committees and like deciding on or voting on who to like invite, finding out who's doing good. Like
yeah,
I've always been involved in some sort of way. I feel like in discords, but it's like when it comes to people that's done a lot for the community itself, it's like you need to look back at Bush Paranoia with all the Method Boys doing their work.
Yeah, they did a lot.
You have Fudgy doing a lot of mod work in
Fudgy,
handling this Discord admin.
Fudgy and
Kling,
Bloodex and Kling
yeah,
are three names that
BloodX,
stand out to me.
yeah, and also Boyer in the past months has been doing a lot with the practice Discords.
Yeah.
But I feel like the era of pro custom Discords and closed Discord servers are over.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so now it's more like these public Discords, right? Because the best practice you can get is basically public games, right?
Yeah.
Or public custom games with people that want to play in the World Cup and people that are playing a certain play style, right?
Yeah.
So the games right now, like the best games I can think of to play for practicing World Cup is either just playing normal arena, which is kind of shit, or you can play like in big custom servers, like we made it Discord, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like it's just like a friends group, but we created a custom server because we all have custom access and we all want to practice, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a way for us to bring not 24/7 customs, but it's a way for us to have practice during the day at all times, right?
And using your platform to provide something for the wider community.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. Like, I've obviously months ago or back in the day, I had kind of a big influence with Epic Games.
Yeah.
Or not really a big influence, Epic Games, but I was
one of the people that communicated with them the most.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So that also helped out a lot with getting like certain things solved or fixed and stuff like that. And it's nice to feel like Epic sees the work you do or stuff like that. So that's probably like the things I've done behind the scenes that most people probably don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's
it, I think.
Going back to the era of those kind of private custom Discords, obviously back in the day, they used to get quite a lot of backlash because people felt like they were unfair in how they invited players, etc. And, you know, there are arguments to be had about that. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily matter anymore because they don't exist for the most part anymore. But how, like, as being someone who was involved in a lot of committees, how was that for you, like seeing those people's reactions?
Well, the thing is, I'm gonna be completely honest about this, and it's like way back in the day, like the first closed Discords, a lot of the people that was in the first Discords, right?
Yeah.
They just got automatically invited to the new one, and then to the new one, and then to the new one, right? Yeah. So it was easy for the people who already made a name for themselves.
Yeah.
And it was hard for people that were upcoming talents and they didn't have a chance to prove themselves, right?
Yeah.
But in recent times, I'm especially gonna shout out Boyer for this. Boyer has always been really, really good at allowing players that's not well known but are performing and are doing good. Like he started with taking players from VNHL, taking players from World Cup, stuff like that, and giving them a chance to have this super good practice that we're getting and showing what they got, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like as time moved on, it got more and more accessible for the people with talent and the people that were proving themselves. But in the start, it was super difficult for new people to prove themselves.
Yeah.
But the community has changed in a great way where a lot of new faces show up every day. A lot of new names, players doing really good. Yeah. And for me, that's just great to see. Like, I just want the best for the community as a whole.
Yeah. You obviously joined your org. I don't know how to pronounce it. How do I pronounce it? Well.
Oh yeah, it's a Norwegian org, so the name is pronounced in Norwegian. It's basically the North Wind.
Okay.
It's basically what it stands for, the North Wind. So how that, if you want to know how that came to part, it was more like I was off secret. I was still performing really good.
Yeah,
And I was looking for a new org. I got contacted, or I contacted them, I think.
yeah,
Now I can't remember. But I got into a chat with them, talked to the general manager or owner, or yeah, super awesome guy. Sat down, went to their office, talked to him. Super great organization. They stand for a lot of really good things.
yeah,
Um, and I just like I same with Secret. It's like the feeling you get when you feel like something is right
yeah,
and you feel like something is good for you. It's like the same feeling I got with the org. So I talked to them. We came to an agreement, and I'm super happy with it. I couldn't be like happier than I am right now with
yeah.
my current situation. And I just hope to be able to pick myself back up and perform to par as I want to. I want to perform the best as I can for the organization, for myself, and for people that support me as well. Right?
Obviously, speaking of performances, the final week of the World Cup qualifiers is going to be happening, I think, next week. Not this weekend, but next weekend. Who are you going to be doing with for that?
So for the last weekend of World Cup, I'm gonna be playing with Green Sock.
Okay.
Um, super nice guy. It's like it's like just like having someone that you play with that you also feel like is a nice person, and you can evolve together is a good thing. So now we have a little bit more time than I've had with previous duos to practice
Yeah,
because of the World Cup being moved. So I'm hoping that during that time we will be able to get down like the basics, and we don't have to think about that stuff when we play.
yeah.
And hopefully, if we get a good day and you pop off during the right situations, it's happening.
I wish you the best of that in that, man. I'm going to be rooting for you. Hopefully, I can see you there on the leaderboard qualifying. Thank you very much for talking to me, man.
For
I
sure,
think
for sure.
I think you've given the people a lot of insight into things that obviously were questions back then that weren't necessarily answered to the public. And I think it's always interesting to see how kind of things unfolded and how certain things happened the way they did. So thank you very much for joining me, man. Plug yourself. Talk about what you're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks.
Uh, next couple of weeks, I'm gonna be working on my mental health and practicing for World Cup. It's not a lot to plug except for your podcast.
Fair enough. But yeah, if you're listening, don't follow Sak0ner on Twitter. Um, your Twitch name is Sak0ner as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, follow him on Twitch. He's gonna be streaming a bunch of stuff.
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm gonna be on you about that. I want to see you
Yeah,
streaming
do that.
consistently. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
thank you,
thank you so much for inviting me as well. It's a great experience. Very good podcast,
man. I appreciate it.
and I can't wait for next one. I want to see who's on next.
Well, I don't know how. I don't know who we're gonna have on next. If you're still watching, you know, tweet at me who you want to see on here. Tweet at the person as well to come on here. But yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. Um, it was a great time talking to Sak0ner, man. He's genuinely such a nice guy, such a thoughtful guy, caring guy, and he's done a lot in this community. Um, Obviously, if you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up. Give me some feedback on Twitter. I really appreciate all of it. Obviously, these episodes are actually streamed live on Twitch the day before I post it on YouTube. So if you want to watch that, if you want to know when that is going to happen, be sure to follow me on Twitter at Leven2k and follow me on Twitch also at Leven2k. Um, Guys, let me know who you guys want to see on here. Comment down below who you would like to see on the podcast. I will get in contact with them. And also, if you want to see someone on the podcast, tweet at them, let them know. Tell them, get on the Leven Podcast. Um, all the support is greatly appreciated. Give me some more feedback. I appreciate everything you guys say to me. Uh, just have a nice week. I'll see you guys on Sunday.